But before we get started, I didn't talk about it on the last episode. I completely forgot. We had sold some merch.
And not just to me.
Dan and I talked. No, not just today. Dan and I had talked about this. I talked about it with my wife. So it's very exciting, but not for the reason you'd think it would be. I mean, obviously, it's exciting that we sold some merch. It's always exciting when people are buying what you're putting out there. But it's what we sold that really makes me
especially as the first item sold is
the very first thing we've ever sold. It's great. So I wake up from my daily sleep after working nights, and I see I have a notification on my phone. It says that Redbubble saying that, hey, you sold your first piece of merch. I'm like, oh fuck yeah! I tell them, I was like, hey, we sold some merch, and I go and look at it. And what we sold, our very first piece of merch that we sold, Dan, your, I would say, world famous catchphrase.
Yeah, known by dozens.
So that if you've gone and looked at our merch, you can get Dan's cat. You can get "Sort Your Fucking Life Out" on T-shirts, hats, blank. I mean, pretty much whatever you want, you can get that on there. And we had sold one of those in a heather gray or a dark gray onesie. So there's going to be somebody pushing a stroller with the baby in it with the onesie that says, "Sort your fucking life out." And I cannot be any happier.
Yep. I think
especially the fact
brilliant.
that the day this episode comes out, it'll be Mother's Day. And it just tickles my cockles.
I thought it was hilarious.
You guys
The
have
funniest part was when you messaged me and said, "Did you buy this?" I was like, "No, I did not buy this."
Yeah, I was like,
It's like somebody bought it.
A onesie.
I bought it for my cat.
And now I don't know. Yeah, I put it on. Now I don't know if this person is a fan of the show, and they went looking for it for our stuff. Or if they were just looking through onesies on Redbubble and came across one that says "Sort Your Fucking Life Out," they thought it was funny. But if you are a fan of the show, if you do listen to the show, please, 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 when you get the merchandise in and put it on your baby, please take a picture and send it to us. If you don't want us to post it on social media because you don't want pictures of your baby on social media, completely understand. But I gotta see this thing.
You can blank the face out.
If you're a listener, please. Send it. Yeah, you can fuzz the face, or we can do it, whatever you want. But I got it. I gotta see this thing.
Yeah,
so,
I want to see it. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's
great. That's great. I had a couple of the guys asking about it too because I sent it into the group chat with a couple of friends and family, and I was like, "We sold our first piece of merch," and they're like, "Oh, congratulations!" Blah blah blah. I was like, "Yeah, it was this," and they're like, "What the fuck?" Like seriously. I was like, "Yeah." So I'm hoping now that they might buy a bit. Hint, guys, if you're listening, because
it's not the worst.
You did ask.
Yeah, it's not the worst one they could have bought for a baby. We have some worse. We have some others that they could have got. But
yeah, Jill DeRay.
The Jill DeRay one. That would be bad. I think I might make
that'd be really funny
for Jesse. Yeah, coming up too.
Oh, that'd be funny.
All right. So Jesse Harding Pomeroy was born November 29th, 1859 in Charlestown, Massachusetts, the second son to Thomas and Ruth Ann Pomeroy. Now, to say Jesse was unfortunate looking would be apt. He was born with
that's a kindness.
An oversized... I mean, really, he was born with an oversized head, jug handle ears, and a cleft lip. Now, soon after birth, either by viral infection, severe reaction to smallpox vaccination, any number of reasons, his right eye developed a white film over the pupil and iris. Some would say that it looked like his eye had a lace curtain over it, so off-putting that many people, including his own father, couldn't stand the sight of him.
Poor Jesse. I was gonna say I can't stand the sight of him
We
either.
definitely have some. Yeah, no. I mean, you can't really. I mean, you can look at old drawings of him, and they don't really put a lot of that in. But if you see pictures of him from when he's older, you can definitely see the filminess of that eye kind of reflect the light or whatever. It's kind of.
There's one of the pictures there you could see of him online that I can imagine Joaquin Phoenix playing him in a movie.
Yeah, I can see that he did. There was something in a TV show or a movie or something like that where I don't remember who plays him, but they put a cataract or something in the eye to make it look like, he had that film, but whatever. So now there's a saying, murderers aren't born, they're made. And if that's the case, the weight of that burden would be placed solely on the shoulders of Jesse's father, Thomas, a known drunk and fiend that would take his young boys behind their shed, strip them naked, and beat them for seemingly any reason, adding to Jesse's sexual affinity for torture. The foreshadowing of Jesse's later crimes would come to light fairly quickly. It was impossible for the Pomeroy family to keep any pets of any kind. But, it was apparently covered in blood.
It's certainly dead now, anyway.
Well, you would imagine.
Yeah.
But that's the type of person we're dealing with here. So buckle up, because it doesn't get any better.
God, it's like the start of the fucking Halloween remake by fucking, Rob Zombie.
Oh, Zombie? Yeah. He's going out to the woods and killing animals, which I think that movie gets a lot more hate than it deserves. The second one was horrible, but the first one gets a lot more hate than I think it deserves.
Yeah, the second one's pretty shit.
So, yeah, the second one was ridiculous. Now, many dismiss Jesse as being mentally disabled in some form, but he wasn't. He had a decent head on his shoulders, loved to read and to learn. He just didn't give a shit about school or the authority of the teachers, so he skipped school quite often. Now, when he did go to school, he was a bully that liked to torment the other students, especially the younger ones. He would have sudden outbursts in class and just be generally disruptive. And when it came to playing with the other kids, he pretty much he didn't. When teams would be picked for games, he would refuse to join either side and just sit by himself, staring blankly into oblivion, absently stabbing his penknife into the ground over and over, sometimes for hours. He also ran away from home.
And nobody thought, hey, maybe there's something wrong with this guy.
A lot of people thought that maybe there was something wrong, but nobody thought that he would go to the extremes of what he went to. Everybody just figured he had a bad home life and he was just kind of a loner. And nobody thought he was going to end up doing the shit that he ends up doing. So, I don't know.
Wow.
He was to say, he was a handful, But his mother was one of these women that, their kids are just rotten and they're in complete denial. Like, no, my kid's the best kid in the world. You just don't understand him. But everybody else is like, this kid's a piece of shit. No, my kid's great. He would never hurt anybody. And you'll see that throughout the entire story. She's in complete denial of anything bad he could ever do. He's a good boy. Very good boy. So we don't
certainly sounds it anyway.
Other than that, we don't know we don't know a ton about his childhood. Other than, he was
a
kind
dick.
of an asshole. Yeah. Then we jump up to the day after Christmas, December 26th, 1871, the age of 12. Jesse comes across 4-year-old William Payne. Now, the details of what exactly happened are muddy at best, as Jesse never gives a real description, and William was too young and traumatized by the events that unfolded. So later in the day, 2 men walking on Powderhorn Hill near Chelsea Creek in South Boston came across a small cabin. Stopping to listen carefully, they heard what can only be really described as a whimper coming from inside. Now, this cabin is less a cabin and more a really big outhouse, honestly, but they call it cabin several times. Now, when they entered, they found young William hanging by his wrists from a rope strung up from the center beam in the ceiling, half naked and just barely conscious. His skin had turned a pale blue from the December cold, and his hands purple from the rope. His back was covered in large, painful welts, so the men cut him down, wrapped him in their jackets. They were able to get him home. His parents called the police, but the only information William could give them was that a big boy with brown hair. That was it. So the police pretty much just crossed their fingers and hoped it was an isolated incident. Maybe just some kid having fun took it a little too far.
Yeah.
Which, if he can't give you a good enough description and nobody saw anything, not a whole lot you can do.
But I can guess from the theme of this podcast that it was not an isolated incident. Yeah. So,
people can say a lot about you, Dan, but you're smart as a whip. There you go.
See, I pay attention to these
2
things.
months. Pay attention.